Uryu Kamihiki is a sad boy who stopped believing in God after his mother passed away. However, when he is forced to live with three religious beauties, they will do whatever it takes to give him something to pray for. It all begins when Uryu arrives at the shrine to start his new life, but upon entering the house he realizes that no one is there. Then he hears some girls arguing about how to dress. Uryu almost enters the young women's room, but they suddenly come out wearing only their underwear. Uryu suffers a nosebleed and the girls immediately try to exorcise him for committing blasphemy. Uryu realizes that the girls are shrine maidens and quickly introduces himself. Uryu explains himself, clarifying that from now on, he will be staying there. Yae Amagami is the oldest and Asahi Amagami the youngest, and both ask Uryu to treat them like his own sisters, but Yuna Amagami, the middle daughter with a demon-like aura, does not want Uryu to get close to her, which secretly relieves him because he only wants to focus on studying. Then, Yae shows Uryu his room, but accidentally knocks down some boxes. Uryu tries to save her, but when Yuna enters, she finds Uryu underneath Yae, in a position that any man would envy, earning the wrath of the middle sister. After Uryu settles into his room, Asahi enters and begins to explore his belongings, curious to know what kind of man the new member is. Uryu tries to stop her but slips on her underwear, falling into another awkward position, just as Yuna enters and sees everything, earning a second round of fury. Later that night, Uryu decides to clean up because he cannot focus on studying, but then he notices that someone is still awake. To his surprise, it is Yuna, sitting alone and shivering from the cold. Trying to be kind, Uryu places a blanket over her, but Yuna wakes up and blushes, thinking that he wants to take advantage of her. While they argue, Yae and Asahi enter the room, finding them in another compromising situation. Uryu apologizes immediately, and Yuna explains that she is making an amulet for the faithful. Uryu is surprised that she puts in so much effort even though she does not get paid. Then, Yuna and her sisters explain that they enjoy making people happy. Uryu sees them praying over the amulets while holding red threads, and they tell him that the threads are the last thing their mother left them. Moved, Uryu shares that he has been studying all night to get into a medical university. Yuna and her sisters tell him that he is in the right place because the shrine is known for a miracle called the Rain of Magical Stars, where people can make wishes that could come true. However, Uryu does not believe in any of that, which infuriates Yuna, who begins to hit him out of pure frustration. The next day, Uryu observes the girls working as shrine maidens and thinks that he could never see himself as a priest. Then, Yuna runs into a foreign visitor and has difficulty communicating. Uryu steps in, explaining in English what Yuna is trying to say, which pleases the foreigner. While Uryu and Yuna argue about their English skills, a strong gust of wind blows, scattering everything. Yuna's red thread flies away and her sisters run to help her find it. Yuna apologizes for not being careful, but when Uryu says that praying to God will not grant their wish, another argument breaks out. Uryu feels strangely relieved to argue with them, as he thinks it is better this way so he can focus only on his studies. But later that night, Asahi and Yae sneak into Uryu's room, hoping to calm the tension between him and Yuna, but Uryu is not there, and instead, they find a photo of him with his mother. Seeing it, Asahi and Yae realize that Uryu has had a difficult life since childhood. He grew up in an orphanage after losing his mother, and they believe he prays for her every day, but his wish never came true, which explains his lack of faith in miracles. Still, Yae believes that Uryu and Yuna will eventually get closer, as they share a similar pain. Meanwhile, Uryu is outside looking for the bird that took Yuna's red thread. After struggling for a while, he decides to pray for Yuna's sake. Suddenly, he notices Yuna by his side, praying too. Surprised, Uryu apologizes for what he said before. Yuna also apologizes, and their reconciliation brings relief to Yae and Asahi, who observe them in secret. As they walk home together, a strong wind blows again. Uryu looks up and sees cherry blossom petals floating in the air as the magical meteor shower begins to fall. He finally realizes that miracles might truly exist, and Yae teases him, saying that it is already a miracle that he can sleep under the same roof as three beauties. Then, Yuna's lost red thread gently falls onto his head, leaving them all stunned. The next day, the priest of the shrine, Chidori Amagami, comes to tell Uryu and the girls that Uryu will become his grandson-in-law and inherit the shrine. This means that Uryu has to marry one of the girls, which surprises everyone. Uryu quickly tells him that he is only there to live for free and focus on studying, not to be the next chief priest. Chidori responds that it is a shame he does not want the position, because if he did, he could easily enter the medical university. Hearing that, Uryu changes his mind immediately and decides to focus on entering the university. The girls are stunned that Chidori has thought so deeply about it, and none of them want to marry Uryu, especially since he does not believe in God. So they devise a twisted plan to make Uryu leave the shrine on his own. Yuna and the others tell him to cook, but when Uryu checks the kitchen, he sees that they barely have supplies. Still, he manages to prepare a delicious meal using the bare minimum. Next, the girls take him to do the laundry, which embarrasses them when they realize that Uryu is handling their underwear. But to their surprise, he handles the laundry like a professional. Then, he is tasked with cleaning Yae's messy room, and once again, he does it perfectly, leaving everyone speechless. However, Uryu hears Yuna say that she wants him to to leave because of the marriage issue. Yai and Asahi, on the other hand, want him to stay, especially since he is useful with household chores. Despite this, Uryu packs his things in silence and leaves. On the train, the girls see him studying diligently. Determined to be a doctor, they follow him to a creepy, dilapidated house that terrifies them. Suddenly, Uryu appears behind them carrying a group of children and freezes in surprise upon seeing Mahiru. The girls soon discover that Mahiru is the mother of the orphanage home of Uryu, especially after she jokes so much with both Uryu and the girls. Uryu asks Mahiru why she never told him about the marriage arrangement, but Mahiru explains that she had already made a deal with Chidori. Then, Uryu is surprised to see his childhood friend Shirahi Tsuruyama, whose unfeminine behavior immediately scares Asahi. One of the orphaned children proudly shows the girls a set of paper cranes he has made, which reminds Uryu of the amulets that Yuna likes to create, and she tells him that it is not a waste of time and encourages the children to make more because it brings happiness. Then, the girls try to help by folding paper cranes, but they struggle, forcing Uryu to teach them how it is done. He folds a perfect crane with ease, leaving everyone amazed. Then, a little boy nervously asks him if his paper crane will make his mother get well, and Uryu tenderly tells him yes, and that he must never give up. The girls look on in amazement, and Mahiru reveals that Uryu once made thousands of paper cranes for his own mother, in hopes that she would get better, which explains why he wants to be a doctor. Shirahi and Mahiru agree that Uryu is a good person, and tell the girls to take good care of him. Later that afternoon, Uryu complains to Mahiru that his study time is interrupted because the girls force him to do chores at the shrine. Mahiru laughs and reminds him that when he was little, she did all the chores at the orphanage alone without ever complaining. Hearing that, Uryu smiles and says he will not complain anymore. He decides to return to the shrine because he has realized that the girls truly care about him. When he returns, the girls begin to tease him immediately, saying that he must be in love with Mahiru. Embarrassed, Uryu apologizes for leaving and tells them that they can always ask him for help with anything. The girls are moved and tell him that they will do the chores alongside him because they are now family. The next day, Uryu sees how unreliable the girls are with chores, forcing him to handle most of the work himself. Just then, Chidori enters and praises Uryu for doing a great job with the young women. Then, with a serious tone, Chidori tells Uryu that if he really wants to deepen his relationship with the girls for marriage, they will have to go through a formal marriage interview. Chidori explains to Uryu how the interview works, and he assumes that the girls must be against the idea, but he is left speechless when Asahi appears fully prepared for it. After Chidori leaves them alone in a room, Asahi immediately suggests that they do something together. Uryu panics, thinking that she wants to do some kind of intense physical activity when she begins to undress, but he is stunned when she reveals that she only wants to go for a run with him. Then, Uryu and Asahi run through the city, and he tells her that she seems the happiest and most athletic of all the sisters. He doubts that a girl like her could beat him in a race, but hours later he is left breathless and completely defeated. He then decides to take a bath, but accidentally enters where Asahi is already bathing, which plunges him into a frenzy of agitation. The next morning, Uryu realizes that he has overslept and blames Asahi for ruining his study schedule, but suddenly he notices Asahi sleeping next to him. She wakes up and tells him that they should continue with their marriage interview, leaving Uryu scared until she clarifies that she only wants to go for a run again in the morning. They head to the old storage shed to look for new sneakers, and Asahi begins to tease Uryu about being alone with the girl, but suddenly a strong gust of wind slams the door shut, leaving them trapped inside. Uryu tries to open it, but realizes that it is locked from the outside. Then he notices that Asahi is trembling and is terrified of the enclosed space. Uryu calmly tells her to hold on to him from behind, which helps her relax. He then begins to work on breaking a window to get them out of there, and after hours of effort, Uryu manages to open a gap large enough to climb through. He hesitates because they are on the second floor, but overcomes his fear, climbs down, and opens the door for Asahi. She smiles, relieved, and before leaving, Uryu jokingly tells her that she still has a childish side, which makes her blush. Yai and Yuna soon find Asahi and ask her what happened. When Asahi happily tells them that she has had an unforgettable moment with Uryu, both sisters get upset thinking that the plot has advanced too far. Later that afternoon, Uryu faces his second marriage interview, this time with Yuna, but he is confused because Yuna acts polite and kind, contrary to her usual self. As they walk through the shrine, he notices her scolding a cat to get out of her way, which makes him suspicious. When they end up alone in a room, Yuna suddenly pushes him to the ground. Uryu freezes when she declares that she is willing to have a child of his to protect the future of the shrine. Uryu urges her to reconsider, and she nervously leaves the room. Uryu then catches Yae and Asahi eavesdropping, and they tell him that Yuna has been acting strange for days. He asks them what Yuna really likes, and later tells her to change her clothes and come with him. Then, Uryu takes her to a cat cafe. At first, she refuses to enter, but once inside, her mood changes completely. Surrounded by cats, she is seen overflowing with joy. Afterwards, Yuna remembers her mission to save the shrine, but Uryu gently reminds her that it is okay to have fun sometimes, especially since her sisters care about her. They spend the rest of the day together at the cafe, laughing and playing with the cats until noon. Before returning home, Yuna buys small gifts for her sisters and one for Uryu, which makes him blush because he is glad to see her enjoying herself. The next day, Uryu prepares for his third marriage interview, this time with Yae, but she does not appear. Uryu goes to her room to check on her and accidentally catches her changing. Nervous, he leaves and waits for hours, but when he returns, she is gone. He asks Yuna and Asahi, but they do not know where she is either. Meanwhile, Yae is at the Inari shrine, practicing her hobby of drawing. She gets scared when Uryu suddenly appears, explaining that he found her using his detective skills. Yae blushes upon realizing that Uryu really wanted to do the marriage interview with her. They spend the day together at the Inari shrine, enjoying each other's company until dusk. Before separating, Yae gives Uryu a handmade amulet as an apology for skipping the interview. Then she asks him which of them he plans to marry, which leaves him frozen. Suddenly, he slips down the stairs and hits his head, having a vivid vision of his future in university, succeeding and carrying the family name. He wakes up shortly after, disoriented and anxious, wondering if everything he just saw was only a dream. Later, Uryu learns from Yuna that they have an important guest. When Uryu buys pastries for the guest, he hears people talking about the festival and that they have not been to the shrine in a long time. Uryu returns home, where a man tells them that he is there to buy the shrine, which surprises everyone. Chidori introduces the man to the others as Miyaman, who is the financial support of the shrine, and he is disappointed because after the death of the girl's mother, the shrine has stopped receiving many visitors, hinting that the sisters are a disaster at what they do. While Yae tries to contain Yuna's anger, Uryu suddenly makes an offer to Miyamon. He tells him that if they manage to attract thousands of visitors to the festival, they can keep the shrine. Miyamon laughs at Uryu's offer, but accepts it anyway. Later, Uryu starts researching past festivals because he needs to gather information. The next day, he reveals the shrine's festival problem, and the girls realize that their mother used to have many contacts that brought visitors, but after her death, they lost most of those links. Uryu then tells them about his plan to use social media and wants the girls to draw attention to the shrine. Yuna hesitates, but Asahi volunteers. She posts a pretty picture of herself, but only gets one like. Then she posts a shy picture of Yuna and gets 2. Furious, she posts a picture of Yae, but gets 0. Then Asahi comes up with the idea of posting spicier photos of them in their shrine maiden outfits, but Yuna dislikes the idea and tells her that she has failed as a shrine maiden. The two argue, but Yae manages to calm them down, and at dinner, Uryu notices the silence in the room. Later, he goes to the bathroom and catches Yuna trying to take a selfie. Uryu shows her that Asahi is working hard to gain followers for the festival, which moves her. Then Asahi receives a message from Yuna asking for her opinion on her selfie. Asahi has difficulty responding, but suddenly Yuna hugs Asahi from behind and both apologize for their previous fight. Yae also joins the hug and the three embrace while still in their uniforms. Uryu takes a picture of them hugging and posts it on the internet, which goes viral. The girls are stunned by their sudden popularity and begin to post more on social media to promote the festival. Uryu tells them that they are not finished yet because they need to sell limited edition items like a talisman at the festival, and assigns Yae as the lead designer. Days pass, and Uryu still has not received the talisman designs from Yae, which causes him to panic as the deadline approaches. He goes to confront Yae but finds her room empty. Meanwhile, Yae is at the koi fish pond, trying to find inspiration. She feeds a carp and gets scared when it brushes against her lips, as it feels like a kiss. The moment sparks her inspiration and she runs home to work. The next day, Uryu presents his own talisman design to the girls, but they all find it tacky. Then, Yae shows her design and everyone is amazed. The girls begin to trust that their festival will be a success thanks to all their effort, but Uryu knows that it is still not enough. So he takes the girls to meet with the Commercial District Promotion Association, where everyone is surprised to see the sisters in person. Uryu and the girls beg the vendors to help promote the festival, explaining that the shrine is in trouble. Uryu is left speechless when the vendors accept without hesitation, and they immediately begin to strategize for the big day, impressing the girls. As they observe how the preparations are taking shape, they realize how much Uryu reminds them of their late mother. Then, on the day of the festival, the girls and Uryu are amazed by what they have built, but remember their mission to gather thousands of visitors to save the shrine. For hours, only a few visitors arrive, which makes Uryu realize that something is wrong. Suddenly, Asahi runs towards them and reveals that there is a social media account spreading the message that the festival has been cancelled. Uryu knows immediately that it is the work of Miyamon, which disappoints Yuna because she believes that their hard work will go down the drain. Uryu tells her that they are not finished because he has a plan, one that seems scandalous to the girls. Before leaving to distribute festival flyers, Uryu tells the girls to follow his plan. Suddenly, Chidori appears and tells them to have fun with God that day. Uryu works hard distributing flyers as no one seems interested, but then Mahiru appears with Shirahi, telling Uryu that they are there to help with the festival. Mahiru takes charge and begins to gather visitors herself. While distributing the flyers, Uryu smiles to see the girls on a mobile stage, enthusiastically calling out to people to attract them to the festival. Miyamon observes from his car, getting nervous about the possibility of actually losing. Uryu is confident that they will reach their goal of thousands of visitors until suddenly it begins to rain. Uryu and the girls realize that the rain is not going to stop and disappointment takes over them. Uryu walks in the rain in silence, but the girls tell him not to lose faith and that God will help them. They kneel and pray together for the rain to stop so the festival can continue, while Uryu runs through the rain thinking that he has failed to save the shrine. Then, suddenly, the downpour stops. Surprised, Uryu looks up and the girls smile and remind him that God can work miracles. Uryu's gaze drifts towards the pond, now full of floating cherry blossom petals. The girls stand in the middle of the pond and begin a performance for the visitors, who watch in amazement. They know they must thank both God and everyone who helped them, because together they have managed to save the shrine. After the show, the girls are relieved to see the crowds fill the grounds again, reminding them of the joyful days when their mother was still alive. Meanwhile, Uryu sells the limited edition items that he and Yae made, but Mahiru approaches and scolds him for not selling them correctly. Uryu apologizes, admitting that he always causes her trouble, but Mahiru insists on helping, saying that she had always wanted to wear a shrine maiden uniform anyway. Then, Mahiru asks him if he is helping them out of pity, but Uryu tells her it is because he wants them to have what they deserve. Later that afternoon, Uryu realizes that they still need one more person to keep the shrine, as it is part of his promise to Miyamon. Suddenly, Mayamon appears, reminding them that time is up. The group's spirits drop until Mayamon smiles and tells them that they have actually kept their promise. If they include him as a visitor, the deal is complete. Uryu and the girls are stunned, and Miyamon admits that he is impressed by what they have achieved and that he wants to see how the shrine continues to thrive with even more visitors. After he leaves, Uryu and the girls celebrate with joy after having gathered thousands of people and saved the shrine. Yuna hugs Asahi tightly, excited by their success, while Yae jumps with enthusiasm. Overwhelmed by gratitude, Yae thanks Uryu by planting a quick kiss on his cheek, leaving everyone surprised and nervous. Meanwhile, Miyamon returns home and tells Chiharu Amagami that he is genuinely excited about the sisters' future. Then, while studying as usual, Uryu suddenly remembers that Yae gave him a kiss, which causes him a certain uncomfortable physical reaction, and he wonders if Yae really has feelings for him. Suddenly, Asahi appears and teases him, saying that he is conceited, but decides to help him anyway to discover Yae's true feelings. Asahi immediately goes to ask Yae what she thinks of Uryu, and Yae's vague response only makes Uryu more confident. Asahi sighs and says that Yae may still be hiding her true feelings, since she is the most mysterious of the sisters. Then Asahi comes up with an idea and drags Yae and Uryu to run with her, but Yae gets tired right away. Asahi tries to ask her again, but this time Yae snaps at her that she does not care about Uryu and only wants to rest. Later that night, Asahi and Yae bathe together. Asahi asks Yae directly why she kissed Uryu, and Yae refuses to tell her anything, which worries Asahi. She tells Uryu immediately, who is relieved since he would rather not know Yae's true feelings anyway. When he tries to pat Asahi's head, she pulls away, complaining that she does not want to be treated like a child. Suddenly, Asahi bites Uryu's ear playfully before running away, leaving him blushing. The next day, Uryu cannot stop thinking about Yae and Asahi, and as he walks down the hallway, he notices that Yuna is there, suspiciously, hiding something behind her back. Uryu confronts her, but she remains silent. Then Yae appears and teases him, saying that Yuna is hiding something he would not want to know. Uryu brushes it off and goes about his day. That night, Uryu finally finishes studying, surprised to have regained his usual concentration. The house seems unusually quiet, so he goes out and finds Asahi snooping in Yae and Yuna's room. Curious, Uryu joins her and learns that Yae and Yuna are making a gift for Asahi's birthday. Toward midnight, Yae and Yuna compare their gifts. Yae proudly shows the stuffed animals she has made, while Yuna presents a talisman full of heartfelt wishes. Asahi and Uryu secretly watch them argue over which gift is better, and Asahi smiles at the bond between sisters. But during the argument, Yae and Yuna accidentally destroy each other's gifts. When Asahi and Uryu intervene, the sisters can only wish Asahi a happy birthday empty-handed, but Asahi does not care, as she is glad that they remembered and made the effort to make something for her, and the three sisters hug each other tightly. The next morning, Yae and Yuna want to make it up to Asahi with something special, but Asahi tells them to look outside, and they are stunned to see the broken gifts repaired by Uryu. And next to them is a small card with a handwritten message congratulating her on her birthday, which makes her smile radiantly. Meanwhile, Uryu, who has fallen asleep afterwards, dreams that Yuna kisses him on the lips. When he wakes up, nervous, he runs to the orphanage after receiving a message from Mahiru. While he is away, Asahi and Yae try to ask him a favor, only to discover that he is already gone. Yuna scolds them for relying too much on Uryu, but they argue that they simply want to show him gratitude for everything he has done for them. At the orphanage, Mahiru gives Uryu a new uniform. He complains about how exhausting it is to live with the sisters, but Mahiru notices how self-conscious he is and how he tries too hard for them. She sweetly reminds him that the girls are only showing their appreciation, so he should not overthink it. When Uryu returns home, Yuna welcomes him warmly. He immediately notices something strange about Yuna, who is unusually kind. Suddenly, she offers him a massage and even kneels down to tie his shoelaces. As she leans forward, Uryu nervously looks away upon realizing that she has certain curves right in front of him. Nervous, he ties his shoes himself, feeling a strong deja vu from his dream. He analyzes the situation and realizes that his dream could come true and that Yuna might kiss him to express her gratitude. But when Yuna sincerely thanks him for everything he has done, there is no kiss. Uryu exhales in relief until a girl suddenly runs past and trips, colliding with Yuna and causing her to almost kiss Uryu. But he grabs her face just in time, preventing their lips from touching. His face turns red as he quickly gets up and dashes home, embarrassed and aware of what almost happened. Meanwhile, Yuna throws salt over herself to purify her spirit and mutters to herself, wondering if what she did was enough. Then, Uryu has a dream again, but this time he sees how they go to the Arashiyama shrine, and the girls all hug him. While they have breakfast, Yuna tells them that she has to consult with Yomiko regarding the shrine. Asahi reveals that Yomiko is the assistant to the priest of the Arashiyama shrine, which surprises Uryu. He tells the girls that he does not want to go with them because he knows what the future holds and wants to create his own. Uryu insists on studying that day, but Chidori forces him to deliver a package for the girls, so Uryu immediately runs to the Arashiyama shrine to give the package to Yomiko. When Yomiko receives the young women, she tells the maid to serve them 4 cups of tea, even though only the girls have come. Suddenly, Uryu appears and shows them the package, a sealed box with warning signs. The girls are afraid of whatever it is, but Yomiko calms them because she can open it. When Yomiko opens it easily, Uryu is surprised that Chidori only gave them a box full of mochi. While they eat the mochi, Yomiko introduces herself to Uryu as the assistant to the priest of the shrine. Then, Yomiko begins to explain things about the Arashiyama shrine, and the sisters tell Yomiko the problem they have. But first, Yomiko teases how much they have grown, and then reveals to them that she has reserved a hot spring spa for them to enjoy. Uryu does not want to go with them because he knows what will happen if he does. Then he sees the shrine maidens performing a ritual taught by Yomiko, which amazes him. Yuna tells Yomiko that they want theirs to be like the Arashiyama shrine, and that they need her help. But Yomiko dodges the question and hugs the sisters instead. Suddenly, Uryu confronts Yomiko for avoiding Yuna's question. Yomiko believes that the sisters must first find their dreams and know if they really want to be shrine maidens or not. Yuna immediately tells Yomiko that she is ready to serve God forever, but Yomiko reveals the truth that if they are really prepared, then they do not need her help, leaving the girls shocked. Uryu confronts Yomiko for being cold to the sisters, but Yomiko brands him a hypocrite who still hesitates about whom to marry, even though he knows that the fate of the shrine is in his hands. Then, Yomiko advises them to clear their minds and give her their answers in the morning. Uryu and the sisters wait in silence, not knowing who should speak first, but Yae decides to be alone. Then, Uryu is about to go home when suddenly Yuna almost falls, but he catches her, which reminds him of his dream. Asahi says that Yuna is depressed, and Uryu wants Yae to take care of Yuna, but Yae is not there. Then, Asahi decides to look for Yae, leaving Yuna with Uryu, so he goes to buy drinks for Yuna, but she drops it because she feels depressed. Yuna then tells Uryu that she has her own dream, but that she does not want to disappoint anyone. Hearing that, Uryu goes to buy her another drink and sees Yomiko lurking behind Yuna, so he confronts her. Yomiko flees immediately out of embarrassment, and when Uryu returns to Yuna, he realizes that she has disappeared. Minutes later, Uryu finally finds Yuna standing near a river, and suddenly, she takes off her pants and steps into the water. Uryu catches her, urging her to open her eyes and relax. Suddenly, Yuna realizes that Uryu is accidentally holding her chest, which infuriates her. Yuna tells Uryu to stop helping them if he really wants to be a doctor, but Uryu tells her that everything he does for them is because he really wants to, which makes her blush and burst out laughing. Then, Yuna realizes that Uryu is helping them from the heart and begins to tease him for being foolish. Afterwards, Asahi is glad to see that Yuna has cheered up again, and then Uryu asks Asahi if she has found Yae yet. Yuna tells them that Yae has grown up and that they should not be overprotective of her. Then Uryu returns home and thinks about how the girls feel that he is still not close to them. Later that night, Yae looks at the beautiful moon in the sky, which comforts her. Suddenly, Uryu appears, surprising Yae because he manages to find her. Uryu tells her that he is worried about her sitting alone outside at night, which makes her blush. Then she snaps at him that he has answered a question wrong, and Uryu is impressed that Yae knows math, and she reveals that she is also good at other things, including martial arts. Then she suddenly tells Uryu that she could be a designer or a mathematician, but wonders if she should marry someone and inherit the shrine. Uryu is embarrassed because she asks him directly, and suddenly, a gust of wind causes Yae to fall into the river, but Uryu manages to save her. He is soaked and sneezing all over, so they go to the hot spring inn, where Uryu uses the sisters' bath. Yae confronts Yuna, asking if anything happened between her and Uryu, and Yae is embarrassed remembering the accident. After Yuna leaves, Asahi tells Yae that she has an idea to apologize to Uryu. Meanwhile, Uryu is relaxing in the hot spring when Yae walks in on him. Uryu thinks that Yae is going to bathe with him, but she only comes to give him shampoo and calls him a pervert for having dirty thoughts. After the bath, Uryu sees Yae having difficulty choosing a drink, and that reminds him of a woman who told her about her future, which made her indecisive and childish. Uryu chooses a drink for her and tells her that he will be her guide if she ever feels lost. Yae decides to play a prank on Uryu and tells him that she appreciates it but that she will choose her own drink. Later that night, Asahi provokes Uryu into sleeping next to her, but Yuna stops her and tells Uryu to sleep somewhere else because she is afraid his instincts will run wild. Uryu decides to sleep in the closet and asks them what they plan to tell Yomiko about their future, but no one answers. Uryu tells them that he asks because he considers himself part of their family, which makes them blush, but Yae and Asahi then break the silence by starting a pillow fight. The next day, Uryu wakes up sleeping next to the sisters, but notices that Asahi is missing. He goes out and sees Asahi with her phone, so he confronts her. Asahi accidentally drops her phone, and when Uryu picks it up, he sees that she is being selected for a relay race. Asahi reveals that she wants to be an athlete, and that next year she will move to Tokyo to live alone. Uryu tells her that she has to tell her sisters, but she admits that she is worried. Suddenly, Yae and Yuna wake up and confront them. Asahi runs away, which infuriates Yuna, thinking that Uryu has done something to her. Uryu explains that Asahi will leave the shrine next year, but the sisters are not surprised because they already suspected it. Yae and Yuna tell Uryu that since childhood, Asahi was always the one who learned everything on her own and wanted to become an adult soon, so all they could do was support her. Meanwhile, Asahi runs away from her sisters just like in the past, but this time she knows that she has to change and become an adult. Suddenly, Uryu catches up to her, bringing Yae and Yuna with him, and tells Asahi that she must be honest with her family before it is too late. Yae and Yuna put a red thread in her hair because they want to cheer her on in her future. Asahi realizes that her sisters support her, but changes her mind and tells them that she will not go to Tokyo because she wants to be with them forever. Suddenly, Asahi faints and Uryu carries her. When she wakes up, Asahi hugs Uryu and tells him that he is like a big brother to her, which makes the sisters smile warmly. Later, Uryu wakes up at the shrine, surprised to see the sisters already grown up, asking him about the promised day. He asks them what it is about and is left speechless to learn that he is going to marry all three. Suddenly, Uryu wakes up from his dream, but this time everything seems normal and he wonders if it really was just a dream. Meanwhile, Yomiko and Harumi meet to talk about Uryu and the sisters. Harumi thanks Yomiko for letting Uryu stay at the shrine, but it turns out to be part of a plan because Chidori needs someone to marry one of his granddaughters. Then Yomiko begins to tell Harumi about her past and the time she met the sisters for the first time. Yomiko was talking to Chidori about the future of his shrine when the girls suddenly burst into the room and asked her to take them as disciples. Yomiko takes the sisters to train with her at the Arashiyama shrine, where she goes overboard with her lessons because the sisters keep making mistakes. Soon she learns that the sisters want to train with her because they wish to do it for their late mother. Over time, the sisters improve and gain more confidence in what they do until the moment of the great separation arrives. After years of training, they must separate from Yomiko, and before leaving, they tell her that she is like their mother, which makes her blush. Back with Harumi, Yomiko explains that she received an order from Chidori to choose one of the sisters to marry the heir of the shrine. However, Yomiko believes that none of them should marry just to inherit the shrine because she wants them to follow their dreams. Still, she admits that she is not their mother or their family, so she cannot make that decision for them. Harumi tells her that whether family or not, she should not worry because she could still become one in her own way. At the same time, Uryu tells the sisters something similar when they begin to worry that they might not spend time with Yomiko again. Later that night, the sisters and Uryu meet with Yomiko on a bridge because the sisters want to reveal their plans. Uryu has some doubts about what they will say, thinking that they might still be too childish. Then, Yomiko asks the sisters which of them would want to succeed to the shrine, and to everyone's surprise, they all choose themselves. The sisters begin to argue immediately about who should inherit the shrine, while Yomiko simply smiles at their enthusiasm. Uryu steps in and tells Yomiko that the girls are not ready to succeed to the shrine yet, and asks her to keep taking care of them for a while longer. Yomiko accepts, realizing that she was too hasty in trying to choose between them, and so she tells the girls that she will always be there for them when they have problems. Hearing that, the sisters delight in the idea of being able to spend more time with Yomiko, like in the old days. Then Yomiko playfully asks if they are really ready to succeed to the shrine, which would mean that they are ready to become Uryu's brides. Yomiko expects at least a decent response from Uryu since Harumi promised her something. Feeling cornered, Uryu jokes by showing more candidates for the shrine, trying to deflect the pressure. Then he tells them that he will not give up his dream of being a doctor to inherit the shrine, but that he is willing to do it as part of his family, and the sisters smile. Suddenly, a rainbow light shines over the bridge, causing the sisters to slip and fall into Uryu's arms. Before hitting the ground, Asahi makes the wish that they all marry Uryu for their own good, and the sisters begin to argue immediately about which of them should be his bride. Uryu realizes that Asahi's wish could come true because the lunar rainbow of dreams has just appeared, leaving the sisters blushing and embarrassed. Seeing how close they are to Uryu, Yomiko is relieved knowing that their future is in good hands. She smiles to herself, eager to see what destiny holds holds for them. Without Uryu realizing it, all the dreams he has about the future are actually a guide that Yomiko gives him to lead him towards a better destiny. The next day, Uryu prepares breakfast when the sisters suddenly appear, surprising him because he sees them in their school uniforms. The sisters ask him what school he is transferred to, and Uryu is also curious, but Yuna knows he will not go to the same school as her or Asahi, since theirs is an all-girls academy. While Uryu gets ready, Yae tells Yuna that her school has recently become co-ed, and the next thing they know, Uryu and Yuna are in the same class. Being the only boy in his class, all the girls crowd around him, which infuriates Yuna. She warns Uryu not to tell anyone that they live in the same house because it could get her into trouble. Uryu understands her feelings and already plans to study hard, since the school has a high academic level that could help him get into the university he wants. During recess, Yuna's friend, Mitsuko, introduces herself to him as the class representative. While Mitsuko talks to Uryu, Yuna discreetly leaves them alone. Mitsuko explains that Yuna is popular at school for being a beauty and a shrine maiden. They keep chatting about Yuna until Uryu excuses himself to go to the bathroom. When he returns, he realizes that his next class is gym, but when he enters the classroom, Uryu is frozen in amazement to see that his female classmates are changing right there. Panicking, he immediately closes the door, terrified that his school life will end before it starts. He waits a few minutes outside and Mitsuko and Yuna come out and find him waiting awkwardly. No one else notices what happened except Yuna, who teases him about it. The next day, Uryu prepares lunch for the sisters, amazing them and brightening their mood. When they mention that their late mother was the last person who prepared lunch for them, Uryu promises that from now on, he will prepare it for them. At school, during recess, Yuna shows her homemade bento to her friends, and Mitsuko immediately notices that Yuna's lunch is identical to Uryu's. Both Yuna and Uryu panic, so Uryu starts eating his food quickly to make it look like they are not connected. Mitsuko begins to suspect, convinced that something is going on between the two. Later that night, while washing dishes, Uryu reflects on how close he came to being caught. Suddenly, Yuna approaches him to thank him for lunch. She tells him that she would like her lunch organized differently next time, and her sisters agree, each asking for something extra in theirs. The next day, after class, Uryu returns home fuming over the fact that there are still no other male students. On his way, he sees the sisters walking home together, even though they go to different schools. Suddenly, Shirahi appears, and they talk about how much they have changed since the last time they saw each other. Uryu is embarrassed trying to figure out what is different about her, but Shirahi is only teasing him. Just as Shirahi is about to invite him to study together, they hear the sisters screaming. Uryu runs there and sees a group of boys taking pictures of them and trying to ask them out, which infuriates him. Seeing the sisters scared, Uryu calls them by their first names to get their attention and pulls them away from the crowd. Uryu and the sisters flee from the group of boys, with Yuna scolding him for drawing attention. But Yae and Asahi thank Uryu for saving them, which makes Yuna soften her tone. Then the sisters notice that Uryu has called them by their first name, which embarrasses him, but also makes the girls blush and smile happily. Later that night, Uryu is forced to become Yae's bodyguard for her circle's drinking party because her sisters know that Yae will get drunk. When Yae disappears, Uryu finds her talking to some guys who are clearly trying to take advantage of her. Uryu does not like it and tells them that he is her boyfriend, which scares the boys and makes Yae nervous. After that, Yae keeps talking about Uryu as her boyfriend and the girls listen. Later, Yae introduces him to her best friend Makoto, but she scolds him for being pathetic and protecting Yae, and Uryu quickly realizes that he will not be friends with Makoto. On the way home, Yae reveals that she used to have many boyfriends, but they were only marriage candidates who gave her false hopes because they never really got to know her. Suddenly, Uryu tells Yae that he can be her fake boyfriend just to protect her from the annoying ones and make sure she is happy. But Yae leans in and says that with him she cannot be happy now. When they return home, Uryu sees a wallet on the ground and remembers that it belongs to Yae because when he and she went shopping, they helped a lost girl find her parents. While they waited, it was Uryu who paid for the crepes that Yae bought for the girl. Uryu wants to return the wallet to Yae, but looks inside first to make sure. He is turned to stone when he sees that Yae's real name is not Yae, but Reiko. Uryu goes to her room and sees that she is not there. Suddenly, he hears Yae bragging to her sisters in the other room. He goes to look and sees Yae putting on airs, convincing Yuna and Asahi to stay up late and accompany her to Kyoto. At first, Yuna and Asahi refuse, but after Yae talks about how beautiful Kyoto is at night, they change their minds immediately. Yae calls Makoto to pick them up and Uryu doubts she will come. To his surprise, Makoto actually appears, ready for a night ride. Makoto does not want Uryu to go with them, but when Yae insists, Makoto agrees to let him go. Before leaving, Uryu returns Yae's wallet to her, and both say they have something they want to talk about, which makes Yuna and Asahi nervous, thinking that he has already chosen Yae to marry her. Then the group goes to the place recommended by Yae, a spot where they are supposed to see fireflies. But that night there are no fireflies, and Uryu notices that everyone is distracted. He takes the opportunity to talk to Yae about her real name, but Makoto interrupts him, and he realizes that Makoto has a problem with him. After a while, Yae, Yuna, and Makoto leave to look for fireflies, and Asahi and Uryu decide to get some fresh air. While sitting together, Asahi begins to ask about Uryu's preferences regarding girls. Uryu is surprised but answers truthfully, and Asahi worries that Uryu might have feelings for Yae because she secretly likes him herself. Then, Asahi suggests that they move and look for fireflies, but Uryu says he likes being there, so they stay where they are. When Yae, Yuna, and Makoto return, Asahi has already fallen asleep on Uryu's shoulder, feeling comfortable with his warmth. Later, Yae and Makoto take them to a convenience store, and while they shop, Uryu tries to text Yae about their previous conversation, but Makoto turns off Yae's phone, which makes him suspicious. Then Uryu notices that Yuna does not buy anything even though she stares at the ice creams and sees that she does not like to bother others with her desires. So Uryu buys all the ice cream varieties and lies, saying that he bought too much, tempting Yuna to eat with him. Upon Yuna seeing her favorite flavor, she eats it happily and enjoys it. While the sisters eat ice cream, Makoto hands Uryu a coffee, praising him for what he just did. Uryu then asks Makoto if she knows anything about Reiko, which immediately captures her attention. Makoto tells him to forget everything he knows about Reiko because she no longer exists in this world. On the way home, Uryu finally sees a message from Yae. In it, she tells him that they can talk as soon as they arrive at the shrine. Then the group goes to the Inari shrine, where the sisters are all happy because there is no one else but them. Uryu cannot think clearly because Makoto tells him not to ask Yae about Reiko, warning him that it could ruin everything. Before returning home, Yae proposes a small test of courage. The Inari shrine has two paths that lead to the top, and she wants them to split up to test their courage. Uryu wants to pair up immediately with Yae alone because the name Reiko keeps lingering in his head. This infuriates Makoto, and she decides not to participate in Yae's game. Yuna and Asahi are surprised when Uryu volunteers to go with Yae because they both think he is already dating her. Suddenly, Asahi insists on pairing up with Uryu instead, saying that she feels lucky when she is near him. Yuna is surprised to see her sisters practically glued to Uryu and begins to overthink that they could end up doing weird things if she leaves them alone, so she decides to join too. With a game of rock, paper, scissors, Uryu ends up going with Yuna, while Asahi pairs up with Yae and Makoto follows them secretly from behind. Asahi feels embarrassed upon realizing that she has just shown her sisters a bit of her true feelings for Uryu. Suddenly, Yae asks Asahi if she wants to know her own feelings for Uryu because she knows that Asahi likes him. Asahi panics and tries to deny it, but in her state of agitation, she slips and falls from the fence. Meanwhile, Uryu and Yuna walk together toward the top. Yuna admits that she has never really acknowledged him, even though he always tries to get close to them, because she thinks he is a weirdo. Suddenly, a stray cat jumps, scaring Yuna. Out of fear, she holds on to Uryu tightly. While holding on to him, she explains why she came to the Inari shrine at night. Yuna always wanted to visit the place because it is said to be close to God, and she misses her mother. Uryu does not laugh at her or tease her. He listens in silence, understanding her feelings because he himself has gone through unnatural experiences since he lived at the shrine. He believes that God might truly be watching him. Suddenly, his phone rings, and they learn that Yae has fallen from the fence. Uryu and Yuna run immediately toward Asahi, and when they arrive, they see that Asahi is being tended to by Makoto. Asahi explains through tears that Yae saved her from falling, but that she herself accidentally fell over the fence. While Asahi cries, Makoto wants to go into the forest to look for Yae, but Uryu insists on going himself. He notices that Makoto is as worried as he is, maybe even more, but still decides to enter the forest alone to look for Yae. Uryu goes deep into the darkness of the forest, and frustration grows inside him. Suddenly, he spots a mask in the shadows and thinks it is Yae, but then it vanishes. Furious, he closes his eyes and, in an instant, he sees the little girl he once saved from getting lost. The scene around him changes and returns to the past, and somehow, he is a little boy again. Confused, but remembering his purpose, he begins to walk until he finds a little girl sitting alone on a park bench. The girl performs a strange ritual, snapping her fingers rhythmically, which fascinates him. Uryu learns that her name is Reiko, that she is alone and hungry, so he takes her to a nearby store to buy her a snack. While they eat, he realizes that Reiko knows almost nothing about the outside world. Sitting on the riverbank, Reiko asks Uryu to feed her what he bought, but he tells her to eat it herself. She tastes it and is amazed by the flavor, with her eyes lighting up with curiosity about the outside world. Uryu begins to tell her stories, sharing what he knows, and as he speaks, he cannot help but be reminded of Yae. Later that night, Uryu tells Reiko that they should go to the police to find her parents, but Reiko says it is unnecessary since her escort has already arrived. Relieved, Uryu prepares to leave, but then sees that the escort treats Reiko harshly, reminding her that her life has already been decided by her mother. Reiko looks at Uryu, asking for help in silence. Seeing her desperation, Uryu suddenly remembers Yae. Without hesitation, he grabs Reiko's hand and pulls her, fleeing together into the night. At that moment, he realizes the truth that he is the one who changed Reiko's life, turning her into the person now known as Yae. Uryu flees with Reiko, and the escorts look for them closely. Suddenly, Uryu panics, realizing that Mahiru might be worried about her, which makes Reiko laugh. Uryu realizes realizes that Reiko's family is strict with her because she rarely laughs, and that thought makes him decide to take her to his favorite place. He takes her to a spot from where they can see the city lights shining from below, and Reiko is left amazed. Uryu tells her that it is a place where she can do whatever she wants, like scream as loud as she can. Reiko screams with all her soul, screaming that she wishes her mother would drop dead and that she wants to be free. Hearing that, Uryu realizes that Yae has always wanted freedom too because of her past. When Reiko finishes screaming, Uryu tells her that she has to go home, but Reiko does not want to. To comfort her, Uryu promises that he will find her in the future and make her free, which makes her smile. Back in the forest, Uryu finally finds Yae and remembers the meaning of Reiko's name. He notices that Yae's clothes are somewhat disheveled from the fall, so he tries to fix them quickly, but Yae wakes up, causing him to panic. Uryu tells the others that he has found Yae and that they should meet at the entrance, which reassures everyone. When Uryu and Yae are finally alone, he decides to talk to her about Reiko. Uryu tells her that he saw her real name was not Yae and is surprised to realize that the girl he once saved is her. Then Uryu tells her that seeing that lonely girl turned into someone full of freedom makes him happy, and Yae blushes. She remembers how her own mother banished her from the family because she sought freedom, and for that reason, she was given to the shrine, where she learned to live freely with her sisters. Before the others arrive, Yae takes Uryu's hand and thanks him for being the reason she could be free. When the sisters appear and immediately hug Yae, Uryu tells Makoto that now he knows what happened to Reiko. Makoto is furious because he did not listen to her warning, but she is also relieved that he was the one who saved her. The group finally returns home. Uryu, Yuna, and Asahi notice that Yae goes immediately to her room. Yae blushes and feels happy about Uryu because he finally understands the truth. She hugs her pillow and acts as if it were Uryu, realizing that she is beginning to have feelings for him. Summer arrives and Uryu notices that it is hot in his room while he studies. Suddenly he is surprised to see Yae also in his room, reading quietly. Yae tells him that she has a college assignment to draw a person and that she wants to draw him. In exchange, she gives him a fan to cool off. While Uryu studies and Yae draws, he begins to realize that Yae might be in love with him, seeing that she has been unusually clingy these past few days. He tries not to overthink it, but Yae, focused on her drawing, traces his profile and writes how much she loves him next to it. Suddenly, Yuna and Asahi enter the room and perceive the intimate atmosphere. They do not like that Yae is alone with Uryu, but Yae tells them to shut up because he is studying. Yuna tells Asahi to leave, but is surprised when Asahi decides to stay too. In the end, both sisters end up staying in Uryu's room, and Yuna realizes that her sisters might have feelings for Uryu. Then she and Asahi notice that Yae's drawing includes a love note for him, so they ask her if she really has feelings for him. Yae admits that she loves Uryu and plans to confess after her exams. She also declares that she will be the one to marry him and inherit the shrine, leaving her sisters speechless. While the girls talk, Uryu notices their suspicious behavior and tries to confront them, but before he can get answers, they all run out of the room, not wanting him to find out what they have been discussing. Then, while Asahi is in her class, her teacher tells the students to write their wishes on their own papers. Asahi observes how her classmates write their wishes, and then Karen appears. Karen wonders what Asahi's wish is, but she says humbly that her wish is for the wishes of all her friends to be fulfilled. Karen laughs and tells Asahi that she should wish to win the marathon since she herself competes in it. Asahi's friends then wonder what Karen's wish will be, since she is a girl from a rich family who already has everything. Karen proudly shows them that her wish is victory in the marathon. Asahi also shows that she wishes to win the marathon because she has her family cheering her on. The two begin to argue, and Asahi teases Karen for always coming in second place. After class, Asahi sees her sisters and Uryu preparing for the Tanabata festival. Uryu asks Yae what her wish is, but she refuses to tell him, secretly wishing to join her soulmate, which makes Yuna react with disgust. Then, Asahi appears, bringing all her talismans with her. Yuna and Yae tell her that they are going to go see her marathon, and when Asahi hears that Uryu is also going to go, she feels embarrassed but excited that he is going to see her race. The next day, Asahi learns that the marathon is postponed and will now coincide with the Tanabata festival, which worries her. Karen teases her, saying that she will lose anyway, but Asahi does not care. She goes home and tells her sisters and Uryu about the postponement. Her sisters feel bad because they will not be able to see her run, but Asahi insists that all that matters to her is victory. After going out to train, Uryu tells the sisters that he will take care of it. The day before the marathon, Asahi says goodbye to her sisters and Yae teases her for being alone with Uryu. Asahi leaves them feeling a bit anxious upon realizing that she will be separated from her sisters for a while. On the day of the race, Asahi takes the lead early, managing to stay close to the top positions for a while before fatigue begins to take its toll. She notices that Karen's family is cheering her on loudly, and that makes her lose a bit of confidence. Then, she spots Uryu and Yomiko in the crowd, both cheering her on. With renewed energy, Asahi pushes harder as Uryu runs by her side, reminding her that everyone at home is also cheering her on. Later, on the train back home, Asahi falls asleep holding onto her victorious gold medal. Uryu is relieved that Asahi won the race, and the festival went perfectly. But the next morning, Uryu wakes up and realizes something strange. He sees that he has traveled back in time to before the festival and the race. He tests his sisters to be sure and discovers that Asahi has also returned in time with him. Asahi worries about the marathon again, but Uryu assures her that they can easily relive it since the race was not a challenge for her before. Uryu and Asahi relive both the festival and the marathon together, but when they wake up the next day, time resets again. Uryu begins to suspect that the problem lies with Asahi. He tells her that she has to do everything differently until the festival and the race, but instead, she keeps making new wishes. Over the next few days, Uryu observes Asahi practicing typing and doing different exercises, saying that it is part of her new wishes. Uryu then asks her if she wants to go to the festival instead, knowing that she has been wishing for it. Asahi hesitates because of the race, but Uryu reminds her that there will always be more marathons she can run. Finally, Asahi changes her mind and decides to attend the festival with her sisters, smiling as she realizes that sometimes being with them is worth more than winning. Meanwhile, Asahi's sisters are confused as to why she is not participating in the marathon and instead joins them at the festival. Asahi tells them that the shrine needs all its sisters together, which makes them smile. Meanwhile, Karen keeps training hard because she wants to defeat Asahi. Since they were little, Asahi has always liked running and participating in races whenever she could. One day, Asahi defeats Karen, which infuriates her and sparks their long rivalry. Later, Asahi tells her coach that she cannot participate in the marathon and the coach raises no problems. Karen, who is eavesdropping, asks the coach something immediately after. This is the third time that Uryu and Asahi experience the marathon, but this time Asahi decides to participate in the festival, believing that the problem is her. Later, Asahi comes up with a game for her sisters during the festival. She suggests testing which of them is the most popular. Yuna does not like the idea at first, but when she hears that the winner's face will appear on the festival poster, she joins in treatment. The sisters hand out papers for visitors to write their wishes and are turned to stone when it turns out that Yuna is the most popular. Yuna has difficulty managing her sudden crowd of fans, and then Yai encounters a fan who confesses his love to her. Yai tells him that her heart already belongs to another, but her sisters quickly shut her up before she says more. Yuna and Yai are glad that Asahi decided to stay to help them with the festival since she rarely spends time playing or doing things with them, and Yai begins to notice that Asahi becomes warmer and more open. Suddenly, Shirahi appears, surprising everyone. She is impressed by how lively the festival is and reveals her desire to be admitted to a medical university. The sisters are surprised that Shirahi wants to follow the same path as Uryu, and then she turns to ask Uryu about his own wish. Uryu admits that he did not write any, which reminds Shirahi of their childhood. Back then, Uryu never liked writing wishes to the gods, believing that everything in life was under his own control. The sisters laugh, hearing how indifferent he used to be, which irritates him. After praying for Shirahi's wish, they move on to announce the winner of their popularity game. To their surprise, the three sisters receive the same number of votes until Uryu steps forward and reveals that he also made a wish. Asahi quickly grabs his ballot and reads it, discovering that he voted for her. That means she wins the game. After seeing Uryu's wish, Asahi goes for a walk and unexpectedly runs into Karen, who also did not participate in the race. Karen tells her that she skipped it because she was busy with something else. Asahi does not ask more and instead asks her if Karen has a wish, but she says that her wish cannot be fulfilled. After Karen leaves, Asahi notices that she has dropped the paper of her wish. She picks it up and is turned to stone to see that Karen's wish is a fair race with her. Then the festival turns out wonderful, just as Asahi expected. But despite everything, Uryu and Asahi end up returning to their time loop. Uryu panics and begins to look for answers on the internet, while Asahi seems to enjoy the repetition. But when he removes her blindfold, he realizes that she is crying. Seeing her tears, Uryu promises that he will be there for her and find a way to end this. Suddenly, Yai enters and gets jealous seeing them together. Catching the tension, Uryu tells Asahi that she should participate in both the race and the festival, but Asahi already understands the true problem. Uryu calls Yomiko to help cheer Asahi on during the race, and then asks her how Asahi can participate in both events. Yomiko points out that the time loops have been caused by Uryu's decisions, not Asahi's. Meanwhile, Asahi falls ill from overwork for the festival and the race. She reflects on how she came to be so insecure and always torn between staying with her family and pursuing her dreams. Suddenly, someone knocks on her door, and when she opens it, she screams. Uryu comes running into her room and is stunned to find Asahi and Karen in an amusing position together. Minutes before that, Asahi is surprised when Karen comes to see how she is, but she insists that she is fine and begins to tease Karen for being worried. Suddenly, Karen pushes Asahi to the ground and begins to undress her, demanding that they run right now. Asahi screams, and Uryu comes running in to check on them. Karen drags Asahi and Uryu to a park to run, where she explains the rules of the race with Uryu acting as the timekeeper. Before the race starts, Karen tells Asahi that if she wins, Asahi must stop running completely. As the race starts, Karen shouts at Asahi saying that she has noticed how she has not taken her recent races dances seriously, and that frustrates her. Karen admits that Asahi has talent, but tells her that she looks even better when she is at the festival, which deeply moves Asahi. As Karen has lost to Asahi many times, she has made it her goal to train every day to finally defeat her and end their rivalry. Hours later, Uryu is amazed when Karen crosses the finish line in first place, beating Asahi and even setting a new personal record. Karen reminds Asahi that she promised to retire from racing, but Asahi protests, saying that it is not fair because she has been busy with festival chores. She admits that she is not sure what her true passion is, but after hearing Karen tell her to stop running, Asahi suddenly realizes the truth. She loves both running and being a shrine maiden. With renewed determination, she decides to keep running and fix things for real on the day of the marathon. She tells Uryu that he does not need to come support her this time, as she is going to bring the victory home on her own. Uryu cannot argue, knowing it is her decision, and Asahi thanks him for everything he has done for her. When the day of the marathon arrives, Asahi gives it her all and wins cleanly and fairly, winning a gold medal and setting her personal best. After the race, Uryu and Asahi wake up and realize that they have finally broken free from the time loop, which fills them with joy. Asahi teases Uryu playfully, but Yuna soon enters the room, telling them to get ready for the second festival. Confused, Asahi listens as Chidori explains that Yomiko suggested holding another festival based on the ancient calendar. A month passes, and the second Tanabata festival begins. Asahi comes up with a new and fun idea, and Uryu and Yae are amazed that the success of the festival is thanks to her. Yuna and Yae approach Asahi and tell her that she has changed, which sparks her curiosity. Yae smiles and says that Asahi has become cuter and happier, as if she had finally let go of something heavy. Blushing, Asahi tells them how glad she is to have them as sisters. Later that afternoon, Yomiko appears, and Asahi thanks her for the suggestion. But Yomiko accidentally lets slip that it was not her idea, but Uryu's. She reveals that Uryu has been asking around to get everyone's approval for the second festival, which deeply moves Asahi. Yomiko warns her not to tell him, but just then Uryu appears. Asahi leaves quickly, wiping her tears, while Uryu thanks Yomiko for her advice, even though she has no idea what he is talking about. Uryu presses her for answers, asking her if she knows how many times they have relived the festival, but Yomiko refuses to reveal it. She leaves him alone and goes to pray at the shrine, where she talks to a masked girl, realizing that the mysterious visitor seems to enjoy teasing them. That night, Uryu and the sisters attend the fireworks display. Some boys try to flirt with them, and Asahi feels jealous of her sisters, so she walks away alone and accidentally bumps into a stranger, which scares her. Just then, Uryu appears and takes her hand gently, guiding her back since she is lost. Asahi blushes while he holds her hand, and together they reach the perfect spot to watch the fireworks. Uryu apologizes upon realizing that the reason they were able to break the loop was because of her strength, not his. But Asahi teases him for being conceited and reminds him that they finished it all together. As the fireworks explode in the sky, Asahi suddenly realizes that Uryu will always see her as a sister and that he will never marry her. Refusing to accept defeat in her race against her sisters, she pulls him boldly and kisses him on the lips. When her sisters appear moments later, Uryu remains completely petrified, unable to move or say a word. Later, while walking toward his seminar class, Uryu cannot stop thinking about Asahi kissing him. He shakes his head and reminds himself to focus on his goal of being a doctor. When he arrives at his seminar to check his mock exam grade, he is turned to stone to see a big B on the paper. Suddenly, Shirahi appears and begins to tease him for getting a B. Uryu is infuriated to learn that she got an A and vows immediately to prove her wrong, even if he is busy living with the sisters. Back at home, the sisters want to talk to Uryu, but when they enter his room, he is not there. All that is left is a piece of paper. The sisters remember that Uryu has a meeting with Mahiru, and then they spot his graded exam on the desk. Meanwhile, Uryu, Mahiru, and the orphans visit the communal shrine. While Mahiru lights a match, she begins to tease Uryu, saying that it shows the sisters are starting to like him. She reminds him about inheriting the shrine, but he brushes it off since his dream remains to be a doctor. While daydreaming about his future as a doctor, Uryu notices that one of the orphans prays incorrectly. He approaches and gently teaches the child how to do it right. Harumi Amagami, observing from nearby, smiles and tells him that he has changed. Uryu shakes his head and says that nothing has changed since he still wants to be a doctor because he cannot stand seeing children praying before their parents' graves. Harumi understands his feelings and tells him that she believes he could one day become a great priest. Before Uryu leaves, he notices a bush rustling, but decides to ignore it. When he arrives home, he finds Chidori and the sisters performing a ceremony. They explain that they are praying for the people they have lost, which reminds them to pray for Uryu's mother. Uryu insists that it is not necessary since he does not believe the dead are there to hear them. But after the sisters finish praying, Uryu suddenly sees a vision of his mother waving goodbye. A gust of wind passes and the sisters look on stunned as Uryu begins to cry for the first time. While they try to comfort him, Chidori tells him that they have something to reveal. She and the sisters explain that none of them are actually blood sisters and that their mother adopted them all. The sisters get frustrated when Uryu does not seems surprised, but he admits that he already knew because of Yai's past. They try to tell him how great their mother was, but Uryu already knows as he has seen how close they all are thanks to her. Smiling, he tells them that they must keep bonding and growing together, which makes them blush. The next day, while doing laundry, Uryu receives unexpected help from Asahi. He tries to talk to her, but she avoids the conversation, still embarrassed by the kiss. Later, when Uryu goes to clean Yai's room, he is turned to stone to find it spotless, even though it turns out she just stuffed everything into a drawer. Before leaving, Yai thanks him for always cleaning her room, which makes him smile. That night, Uryu smells something delicious in the kitchen. He is surprised to find Yuna cooking curry, and when he tastes it, he is amazed at how good it is. Going to bed, he realizes that the sisters are changing thanks to him, and that he is changing thanks to them too. The next morning, Uryu and the sisters gather for breakfast, enjoying Yuna's curry. They begin to talk about how reliable he has been, which makes him blush. Then, to his surprise, they all bow and thank him for everything he has done because it is time to say goodbye. Like the day Uryu and Mahiru visit the graves, the sisters secretly hide in the bushes and hear him say that he will not inherit the shrine. They realize that it was never his dream to do so and decide to support him so he can pursue his true goal instead. Uryu is turned to stone when the sisters tell him that they are kicking him out, but they insist it is for his own good and want to prove that they can live without him. When Uryu finishes packing and prepares to leave, the sisters tell him that they will find a new heir and thank him for his time. Shocked, he walks away, but as he walks, he remembers that he prayed for his mother every day as a child. Suddenly, he turns back to the shrine and, standing before the sisters again, announces that he has found his next heir in the form of a boy who once prayed to God to cure his mother's illness and who, when she passed away, stopped believing. That boy, he says, watched 3 shrine maidens pray every day and through them rediscovered his faith. That boy is Uryu himself. The sisters are suspicious, wondering if he is lying, and decide to interview him. After he proves his sincerity, they smile and accept his words. At that moment, Uryu finally realizes his true calling to inherit the shrine and marry one of the sisters one day. Days later, Uryu has a fever and Yuna is the one who tends to him. She makes him oatmeal porridge and is surprised when he says he likes it. When Uryu goes to check his temperature, the digital thermometer runs out of batteries. Yuna decides to check it the old-fashioned way by coming close and pressing her forehead against his to feel his temperature. Uryu panics, realizing how close she is, and notices that she does not even blush. Suddenly, he wakes up in bed and realizes that it was all a dream. While he wonders about it, Yuna is outside his room, her face red because it actually happened. She knows she has to take care of Uryu as the heir to the shrine, but she also realizes that she has gotten too close to him. The next day, Uryu feels better and notices that Yuna wears a weird hairstyle. Yai tells him that Yuna has been acting strangely, as if she were hiding something. In the middle of their conversation, Yai accidentally kisses Uryu on the cheek, making him blush and helping him figure out how to approach Yuna. When Uryu and Yai go back to check on Yuna, they are surprised to see that she wears another strange hairstyle. Yai suspects that Yuna might be in love, but Uryu insists that a girl like her could not be. While Uryu wonders about Yuna's strange behavior, she suddenly trips and falls, making a scene. Her sisters and Uryu run to check on her, and Yuna insists she is fine, but Yai notices that she is burning with a fever. Yai tells her to rest and let them handle the chores, but Yuna refuses, saying that she has to help Uryu because he is the heir. While cleaning the mess, Uryu tells Yuna that if she pushes herself, he will have to push himself even harder because she is the reason he dedicates himself to the shrine. Hearing this, Yuna's heart beats wildly, and she throws herself into his arms for him to carry her back to her room. Later that night, Yuna insists that she has recovered even though the others doubt it. She smiles and declares that she will start a new daily routine of praying to God every day so as not to get sick again. The next morning, Uryu accidentally walks in when Asahi is showering, and when his nose does not bleed like other anime protagonists, Asahi feels sad because he has changed. Later in class, Uryu and Yuna learn that the school will perform The Changelings, a play about a prince and a princess who dress as the opposite sex. Mitsuko immediately chooses Uryu as the prince since he is the only boy in the school, and he accepts. Yuna, furious because he will have to dress as a woman, volunteers to play the princess herself. At lunch, Mitsuko admits that she was going to choose Yuna as the princess anyway because she thought Yuna was dating Uryu. Both Yuna and Uryu are turned to stone to hear that the school is already full of rumors about them. That night, Asahi and Yae get enthusiastically excited to see Yuna and Uryu perform together. Uryu blushes while practicing his lines, already dressed as his character. After Yuna finishes her shower, Uryu calls her, and they begin to talk about the bizarre thing that has just occurred, that they have swapped their bodies. When Yuna was sick, she prayed at the shrine and somehow swapped her place with Uryu. Now Yuna is in Uryu's body and Uryu in hers. He runs to the bathroom and sees his reflection in the mirror, totally stunned. When he runs back to his room, he finds Yuna sitting quietly there in his body. Yuna does not panic, as she knew about this strange phenomenon but had not told him. The two decide to help each other learn to live as the other, while Yuna awkwardly learns to use certain parts in the bathroom, while Uryu struggles to take off his dress without breaking it. After a few days living like this, both are exhausted and frustrated motivated, Freaky Friday style. Uryu finally suggests that they tell the others, worried that the stress will affect them both, and Yuna accepts, but before they can, Asahi suddenly enters and tells them to stop fooling around. Yuna follows Asahi while Uryu goes with Yae. Both girls wonder if Yuna and Uryu have feelings for each other, but both deny it. Then, Yae and Asahi confess that each has feelings for Uryu, and, stunned by their confessions, Uryu and Yuna decide not to reveal their situation to anyone for now. Determined to fix things, Uryu sets out to find a way to reverse the body swap before their lives spiral further out of control. Meanwhile, Mitsuko begins to notice that Yuna acts strangely, even though she has no idea that it is actually Uryu inside her body. Then, Uryu and Yuna go to practice their dialogue in front of Mitsuko, and she finds them a great couple because of how natural they act while dressing as the opposite sex. Then their classmates remind them that there is going to be an exam, which makes Uryu worry about his English test. After class, Uryu sees Yuna studying hard because she does not want to ruin his grades. Uryu is surprised by her generosity, but tells her to take it easy because he does not care anyway. At dinner, the sisters notice that Yuna studies twice as much. Then Yae tells Uryu that she has to dance at the shrine in a couple of days, which makes him realize that he has to train in the dance. Uryu immediately looks for dance training videos and begins to practice his skills, which confuses Yae and Asahi because Yuna already masters her dance. Uryu realizes that Yuna is pushing herself for him, so he decides to push himself for her because he does not want to ruin her reputation. He also begins to understand what Yuna is going through, and the thought gives him energy. The next day, Uryu feels stiff because he trained all night. Then he accidentally tells Mitsuko that the shrine has found an heir, which makes Mitsuko realize that Yuna is not really Yuna. Uryu panics and wonders if Yuna is hiding something from him. Suddenly, he sees a girl with a mask who pulls him. Uryu wakes up and realizes that he is back in his own body and wonders if the masked girl is the one controlling them. He also wonders why Yuna took him to a stall and then notices a key that can open one of the doors. Meanwhile, Yuna has also returned to her own body and immediately sees Mitsuko praying for her. Mitsuko tells Yuna about the heir, which makes Yuna smile and say that it is just a joke. Then Uryu and Yuna return home, relieved to have returned to normal. But when Uryu gives Yuna the key, she panics and tells him quickly that she just found it. Uryu tells her that he wants to know more about her because they are family, and then they notice that the others look at them with jealousy. Yuna tells Uryu that he has nothing to worry about, which makes him overthink. When Uryu lies in bed that night, he wonders if they could swap their bodies again because he wants to know more about Yuna's secret side. The next day, he realizes that they have swapped bodies again and immediately tells Yuna about the fox-masked girl. Yuna tells him that she met God, which makes her envious, but Uryu does not believe her. And then God suddenly changes their bodies again while Uryu tries to fix Yuna's dress. After class, Uryu is furious because God decides to change their bodies once more. Then he notices Yuna holding a science book, which makes him wonder and realize that Yuna has other wishes that she has not shared. Suddenly, Mitsuko surprises him and tells Uryu that she knows Yuna is not really her. Uryu is cornered, so he tells Mitsuko that he lost his memory, which seems quite reasonable to her, although she knows something deeper is going on. She decides to leave Yuna alone for now. Later, Mitsuko and Uryu have a date, but Uryu is still in Yuna's body. Mitsuko takes him to Yuna's secret hiding place and reveals that she and Yuna were barely friends until Yuna's mother died. Mitsuko remembers how Yuna was heartbroken after losing her mother, so she brought her a portion of her famous dumplings. Since then, Yuna and Mitsuko have become best friends, and their secret hiding place has become a place where they share their secrets and dreams. Mitsuko gives Uryu Yuna's bucket list, and he wants to read it because he knows it would reveal her hidden side. But in the end, he decides not to, and instead reveals to Mitsuko that he is actually Uryu inside Yuna's body. Mitsuko is not surprised since she already knew, which gives Uryu chills. Uryu then screams at God that he has had enough of his games, and God returns their bodies to them again. Without them knowing, Yuna is actually there, listening to their entire conversation. Later, Mitsuko goes to give her famous dumplings to Uryu and Yuna because they are about to have a serious talk. Mitsuko also learns that Uryu is the heir to the shrine, which explains why they are so close. Then Uryu asks Yuna to tell him about her true wishes, the ones she has been hiding. When Yuna was little, she notices that the shrine has fewer visitors. Her mother explains that Chidori is getting older and that if Yuna wants more visitors, she has to become a priest. Since then, Yuna has always wanted to be one because she is worried that God will feel lonely if the shrine ever closes. Back with Uryu, Yuna is embarrassed after revealing her dreams, while Uryu is impressed that she has such big ambitions. But Yuna explains that it is difficult for her to be a priest since shrines are dominated by men. Seeing Uryu dedicate himself to inheriting the shrine, she decides to give up her dream and wants to burn her bucket list, which explains why she was holding a science book to look for new dreams. Uryu begins to provoke Yuna because he knows she is lying by saying she gives up her dreams. He tells her that when he is a priest, he will fire the family because he thinks it will be difficult to run the shrine with them around. Yuna infuriates and reveals everything she dreams for the shrine. Hearing Yuna's passionate words, Uryu realizes that she is hiding in her safe safe place and tells her that the only one who can get her out of there is him. Yuna disagrees and wants to prove why she will be a priest, and Uryu accepts her challenge because he wants her to reach her dreams. Days later, the festival begins, and Uryu is surprised to see that it is dominated by men. Mitsuko explains that every year men come to the festival because they try to flirt with the sisters, which makes Uryu worry about them. Suddenly, he sees that they are harassing Yae, but she manages to make them leave, which surprises him. Seeing that Uryu is alone, Yae decides to stay with him and takes his hand so they look like a couple and no one bothers them. Uryu and Yae take some photos together and then enter a maze. But from afar, Yuna sees them and jealousy grows in her chest. After Uryu and Yae finish the maze, Uryu receives a call from Mahiru, who tells him that Asahi has disappeared. Uryu goes immediately to look for her, leaving Yae with Mahiru. Meanwhile, Asahi walks alone, lost because her phone has run out of battery. She begins to talk to herself about how all her efforts for Uryu seem like a waste of time, but she does not give up yet. Then she sees a girl confessing her feelings for Uryu through a loudspeaker. On impulse, Asahi takes the loudspeaker and calls Uryu herself. Uryu runs immediately to the rooftop, worried in case Asahi is hurt, but when he finds her, she only wants to have a festival date with him. Yuna hears what Asahi says and remembers their previous talk about Uryu. Feeling confused, Yuna runs to the makeup room, trying to clear her mind of thoughts about him. Finally, Uryu and Yuna get into character for their play, and their classmates begin to egg them on to kiss at the end. Before the performance starts, Shirahi comes to see Uryu dressed as a woman, and Yuna suddenly asks her what she feels for her sisters. But Uryu does not have time to answer because the play is about to start. The play of The Changelings begins, and Uryu and Yuna recite their dialogues as if they were living the story themselves, with the plot reflecting their strange connection in real life. When Uryu delivers his last line, it makes both Yuna and Shirahi cry. Upon finishing the play, Uryu notices that Yuna blushes before suddenly running away. Alone on the rooftop, Yuna tries to purify herself, but Mitsuko stops her. Yuna confesses to Mitsuko that she feels strange whenever she is with Uryu, and Mitsuko smiles sweetly and tells her the truth, that she is in love. Later, while Shirahi cooks at her house, Uryu texts her to study together at her house, which makes her smile. While they study, Shirahi notices that Uryu cannot concentrate because he keeps thinking that the sisters might feel something for him. Shirahi confronts him since he acts strangely, and then Asahi suddenly enters with drinks. Asahi almost falls, but Uryu catches her just in time, preventing the drinks from spilling. Shirahi gets jealous and excuses herself to go to the bathroom. Yae takes her there and begins to ask Shirahi for photos of Uryu from when he was little. Yae tells her that she is interested in them, which makes Shirahi realize that Yae and Asahi truly love Uryu. Before returning to Uryu's room, Shirahi hesitates, feeling insecure as she remembers when she was the only girl for him. Upon entering, she sees all the sisters in Uryu's room, where Yuna and Uryu argue about who should serve Shirahi's snacks. Suddenly, Uryu checks Yuna's forehead to see if she has a fever, which makes Yae and Asahi jealous while Yuna blushes. After studying, Shirahi asks Uryu to go to her house for dinner. Uryu accepts at first, but when he hears that the sisters have problems without him, he decides to stay, breaking Shirahi's heart. When Shirahi arrives home, she bursts into tears immediately, devastated because she really wanted to have dinner with Uryu. She regrets having met him because she feels that the Uryu she knew has disappeared, although deep down she still wants to see that version of him again. Suddenly, one of her friends texts her, saying that she has started dating the man of her dreams thanks to an amulet. The next day, Uryu and the sisters have breakfast together and talk about the Kuragami amulet, which, according to rumors, can grant anyone's wish, especially if they want to date someone. Hearing the conversation, Yae decides to take everyone to visit the Kuragami amulet because she has something planned. On the way there, Uryu gets frustrated because they have to hike first to reach the shrine. Still, he joins them because he is curious about God and asks the sisters about their wishes. Yuna says she wants to be a priest and hopes Mitsuko opens a dumpling shop near the shrine so she and Uryu can enjoy it together. Asahi wishes to win the marathon over Karen and have Uryu as a lover. Yae's wish is to go on vacation with Uryu, see him dance, and have him finally propose marriage. Uryu observes the sisters laughing at their own wishes, which scares him a bit. The group finally arrives at the Kuragami shrine, only to find it abandoned. Yuna and the others are scared by a crow. Suddenly, Uryu tells them that he saw someone inside the shrine, which scares them, but they assume it must be Kuragami himself. The sisters ask Uryu about his wish, but he stands firm in his belief that the only ones who can grant their wishes are themselves. The sisters ignore his skepticism, still hoping that the amulet will somehow unite their destinies to Uryu's. Without them knowing, the person Uryu saw inside the shrine is actually Shirahi, hiding from them for some reason. After the group leaves, Shirahi stays behind, begging the god Kuragami to grant her wish. Suddenly, Uryu feels a dark shadow fly over him, and then he collapses. When he wakes up, he realizes that he is back at his orphanage. Uryu assumes that the sisters brought him there after fainting, but then he is turned to stone to see Shirahi in the bathroom. Shirahi tell him mockingly to bump into her in the shower, which makes him nervous and makes him run away. Uryu runs back to the shrine, only to discover that the sisters have kicked him out. He tries to prove prove who he is, but none recognize him. When he returns to the orphanage, Shirahi receives him warmly, although she notices that he looks devastated. Uryu cannot believe that the sisters no longer know who he is. Suddenly, Shirahi approaches and kisses him on the cheek. Uryu is stunned, but Shirahi smiles and reveals that they are a couple. Then, Uryu has a dream where the sisters do not recognize him no matter how much he tries to make a fool of himself. Then he finally realizes that it is not a dream, but that 3 days have passed since his life at the shrine disappeared. When Uryu wakes up, Shirahi and Harumi tell him to rest as much as he wants at the orphanage because he acts strangely. Hearing their words, Uryu realizes that he is trapped in a phenomenon where he and Shirahi never left the orphanage. In this phenomenon, Uryu and Shirahi go to the same school. Even the school recommends him to enter the medical university, and he has male friends. Uryu knows that he has everything he always wanted, but something about Shirahi keeps bothering him. At lunch, he realizes that he dates her, and although he does not care, he tries to find a way to return to his real world. After class, Uryu asks Shirahi if she knows anything about the sisters, but she knows nothing. Uryu tells her that he wants to return to the world where he was chosen by the shrine and where they are not dating. His words infuriate Shirahi as she mistakes them for him wanting to break up. Then, Mahiru reminds him of how they met as children. Uryu used to be a cool and kind boy who helped others, which is why Shirahi fell in love with him. While Shirahi studies in the hallway, Uryu comes to apologize and study with her, which makes her happy because she finally gets what she has always wanted. Later that night, Uryu cannot sleep, not because he is worried, but because he has nothing to worry about. However, the sisters do not stop coming to his mind. The next day, after giving Shirahi her shower cap, Uryu decides to take a walk alone. While walking, he hears a child bragging about dinner, which makes him wonder if the sisters have eaten. Suddenly, he bumps into Asahi, who has gone out for a run. Uryu, overwhelmed by worry, scares her with his intensity and she runs away frightened. But while running, Asahi realizes that Uryu seems more like a good guy than a weird stalker. Suddenly, she hears Uryu chasing her and flees back to the shrine where Yae tackles him to the ground. Yuna wants to call the police, but the sisters stop upon seeing Uryu trying to return Asahi's red thread to her. Asahi thanks him for being kind, and Uryu tells them all to stop because he has something to say. He tries to remind them that he is a member of their family, the one who does the laundry, cooks lunch, and helps clean the shrine. But Yuna refuses to believe him and insists that he is a stranger, forcing him to leave. Uryu prepares to get on with his new life, but just as he begins to walk, Yae stops him suddenly. She tells him to wait, as she remembers that Uryu is the boy who once saved her in the past. Meanwhile, back at the orphanage, Harumi and Shirahi worry because it rains. Shirahi decides to go look for him, knowing that she might have an idea of where he is. Uryu explains everything about his alternate world to the sisters, revealing also that he knows details of their past, something that scares Yuna. Determined to prove his worth, Uryu proves that he does not just talk and that he can do everything he says. After showing his skills, the sisters still refuse to let him help at the shrine, but agree to help him return to his real world because he has earned their respect. While the sisters discuss how to send him back, Uryu looks at them and tells them that he loves them. Then he decides to go home, but when he opens the shrine door, he is turned to stone, as Shirahi is there waiting for him. Then, while Shirahi uses the sisters' bathroom, they corner Uryu and force him to give explanations since his girlfriend has told them that he acts like a madman. Uryu explains that in his alternate world, he never dated Shirahi, but now that he does not want to break her heart just to solve his problem. After Shirahi finishes her bath, the sisters show them the room where they will sleep. Uryu feels happy to recover his old room, but is torn over what to do. The sisters suggest that he break up with Shirahi, while Harumi advises him to support her instead. Suddenly, Shirahi knocks on the door and asks to enter his room, which is the perfect moment since Uryu wants to talk to her. When she enters, he is left speechless because Shirahi begins to provoke him with multiple weird things she can do with her tongue. Uryu tries to stop her, quickly reminding her that they are in a shrine, but she laughs and says she only wants to study with him. The sisters eavesdrop, thinking that the couple might do something spicy, but when they realize that Uryu and Shirahi only study quietly, they decide to leave them alone. While studying, Uryu finds it hard to concentrate because he overthinks everything too much. Shirahi notices it and encourages him, reminding him that he wants to be a doctor who saves people so that children do not have to worry about their parents. Inspired by his dream, Shirahi says that she also wants to be a doctor so they can build a hospital together one day. Then she tells Uryu timidly that she wants to do what couples do, which makes him panic, thinking she means a honeymoon. But actually, she only wants to go to an amusement park. The next morning, Shirahi wakes up and sees that Uryu has not slept at all. He admits that he stayed awake because he heard her apologizing in her dreams. Uryu asks her if she changed the world, and the question forces her to tell the truth. Shirahi confesses that she made a wish to Kuragami so she could be with him because she realized that the Uryu she knew had changed. Every time she saw him, he seemed more distant, always surrounded by the sisters, and she never found the courage to confess her feelings. Uryu apologizes, admitting that he never realized that she felt something for him, which makes her cry. He tells her sweetly that he is glad she finally confessed, but admits that he does not know what to do now. He offers his chest to cry on, and she accepts. The The sisters see Shirahi crying because of Uryu, but he tells them firmly not to get involved. Later, Uryu thanks the sisters for letting them stay, and before going home he wants to pray at the shrine with Shirahi. At the shrine, they see a boy praying for his brother, which makes Uryu laugh. Shirahi feels timid about praying by his side, but Uryu tells her that he used to pray at the shrine every day for his mother. After praying, he tells Shirahi that he still dreams of being a doctor, but now he also dreams of saving lives with the help of God, because the shrine and the sisters helped him believe in the divine presence. Then they notice that the sisters have difficulties with some tasks. Uryu wants to help, but Yuna rejects his offer. Seeing that Shirahi steps forward and volunteers to help as a part-time shrine maiden, the sisters are amazed at how well the uniform fits her. Working by her side, Shirahi begins to understand why Uryu changed. Seeing her bond with the sisters, Uryu feels at peace, as if he could really live in this world. Later that afternoon, Shirahi apologizes to the sisters and to Uryu for her selfish wish. The sisters hug her, telling her that they understand her. Shirahi then promises Uryu that she will find a way to send him back to his real world, even if she does not know how yet, and the sisters vow to help her. Uryu reminds them that the autumn festival is coming up, so they should create as many memories as they can before he leaves. The day of the festival, Shirahi is amazed at how lively and crowded it is, but seeing Uryu interact so warmly with the sisters, she begins to worry. While they walk through the forest together, she asks Uryu about his feelings toward the sisters. She begs him to tell her, but he finds it hard to express his emotions in words. Suddenly, the shrine dance begins, and Shirahi sees Uryu blush as he watches the sisters' performance. At that moment, she realizes the truth, that Uryu belongs by their side, not hers. After the festival, Uryu and Shirahi prepare to go home, but before they leave, the sisters introduce them to Yomiko. She learns that Uryu and Shirahi come from an alternate world, and is not surprised because she already knows that God is capable of such things. Before revealing her knowledge, she offers Shirahi a shrine maiden position, saying that her beauty would attract more visitors. Yomiko then tells the sisters that what Uryu and Shirahi experience has happened to them before, a divine phenomenon they call tying the knot. Yomiko explains that tying the knot is a manifestation of the will of God, a connection between the current world and another. Then Yomiko explains how they can return home, which is by praying to the god who brought them to this alternate world, Kuragami. After wishing them luck, Uryu asks Yomiko how their memories could remain intact if he really is in a different land. He worries that Yomiko knows more than she says, just like when he was in the previous loop. Suddenly, Yomiko's behavior changes. She tells Uryu that it is too early for him to learn the truth, with a dark and cryptic tone that terrifies the sisters. When Yomiko leaves the shrine, Uryu still does not fully understand her explanation, but he knows one thing, and that is that he must go to the Kuragami shrine. Meanwhile, God talks to Yomiko, saying that she went overboard, but Yomiko does not care, since it is all part of her plan for something much greater. The next day, Uryu and the girls head to the Kuragami shrine. During the hike, Uryu brags about his stamina while the sisters make silly and unnatural wishes. When they finally arrive at the shrine, the sisters decide to leave Uryu and Shirahi alone, knowing that they will see each other again in another world. Suddenly, Uryu and Shirahi see Kuragami sitting above them. His presence is immense and divine. Shirahi kneels immediately and prays to be sent home. Kuragami asks her if she really wishes to return, and she nods without hesitation. But just as Kuragami begins to grant her wish, Uryu stops him, terrified that Shirahi will not return safe and sound. Kuragami explains that he knows them well by their hearts, their desires, and every desire requires a payment. Then, with a snap of his fingers, the world changes around them. They find themselves at a crossroads where two paths stretch before them, one leading back to their original world and another keeping them in the current one. Uryu hesitates, remembering Yomiko's warning to prepare before leaving. Shirahi begins to speak with her emotions running high. She confesses her feelings to Uryu, begging to hear his in return. Uryu tells her how smart, beautiful, and kind she is, but Shirahi shakes her head, saying she does not want compliments, just the truth. Finally, Uryu admits that he does not want to leave the sisters. He wants to stay by their side, make them happy with his own hands, and never before has he felt this sense of belonging. Then he declares his decision to return to his original world and tie the knot with the sisters. Shirahi listens in silence with tears in her eyes. She understands his feelings and accepts the price she must pay for her wish. Together, they walk toward the crossroads that takes Uryu back home. The journey seems endless until a glowing wormhole opens before them. Uryu says goodbye one last time, promising that he will never forget her. Shirahi tries to reach him, but it is too late as he is gone. Uryu wakes up in his room, gasping. He runs to look for the sisters, but their room is empty. Desperate, he opens the bathroom door and finds the sisters changing. He opens his eyes wide with tears streaming down his face while his nose bleeds at the same time. That day, Uryu prepares a barbecue for everyone, showing how reliable and caring he has become. The sisters watch him proudly, smiling at the scene. Suddenly, Miyamon appears, teasing Uryu and admitting that he is envious of how close he is to the sisters. His confidence is shattered when Yomiko, Harumi, and Shirahi arrive. When Uryu tries to talk to Shirahi, the sisters interrupt him, telling him him to focus on cooking more meat. Laughter fills the shrine grounds. Uryu and Chidori look around, realizing how lively everything feels with him there. As the afternoon sun sets, Uryu enjoys the barbecue surrounded by the sisters and his family. Up in the trees, God watches in silence from afar, smiling as they laugh and eat together under the fading light.